March 1943. Vickers-Armstrong Testing Grounds, Newcastle upon Tyne. A sandbag wall stands 50 yards downrange. Behind it, wait, military observers, engineers, ordnance specialists, infantry officers, men trained by experience to recognize weapons fire instantly, even at distance, even under stress. They are not here to be impressed. They are here to judge. A shooter steps forward and shoulders an unfamiliar carbine. It looks wrong. Too long at the muzzle, too heavy at the front, nothing like a standard service rifle. He fires. Nothing happens. At least, that is how it seems. There is no crack, no report, no echo. 7 rounds are fired in total. Not one observer identifies the sound as gunfire. One later describes it as resembling a child's air rifle. Another compares it to the muted thud of a door closing in the next room. The loudest sound present is not the shot itself, but the metallic click of the bolt being worked by hand. In that moment, British commandos are shown something no Allied weapon has yet achieved: a shoulder-fired firearm. Accurate beyond 200 yards, quiet enough to fire beside enemy troops, and powerful enough to kill instantly. The Lisle Commando Carbine. It's just solved a problem that had defeated every special operations unit in the world. The problem facing British special operations in 1942 was brutally simple. Men had to die without noise. Raids on occupied coastlines, reconnaissance patrols behind enemy lines, sabotage missions where extraction depended entirely on remaining unseen. All of them demanded absolute stealth. A single gunshot could end everything. Detection meant pursuit. Pursuit meant capture. Capture often meant execution. Killing quietly was not a luxury or a preference. It was survival itself. Yet every weapon available forced compromise. Silence came at the cost of range. Range came at the cost of silence. Stopping power was sacrificed for concealment, or concealment for lethality. No weapon delivered all three at once. The quietest firearm in Allied service was the well-rod pistol. At close range, it was almost inaudible, a true assassin's tool. But that was also the limit of its usefulness. The well-rod was designed for contact distance killing. Press the muzzle against the target. Fire, withdraw. Within 7 to 10 yards, it worked. Beyond that, accuracy collapsed. At 15 feet, hits became uncertain. At 30 feet, they became theoretical. The magazine held 7 rounds, 1 sentry per weapon, unless the operator could reload blind in darkness without being noticed. Worse still, the suppressor itself was consumable. Rubber wipes degraded after 10 to 15 shots. Heat and pressure destroyed their effectiveness. Every mission required fresh suppressors or acceptance that the weapon would grow louder mid-operation. The well rod was silent. But it was not a fighting weapon. The Sten Mark IIs attempted to solve the problem through volume of fire. More ammunition, more range, a large suppressor to reduce muzzle blast. On paper, it looked promising. 32 rounds, effective range out to 100 meters, significant reduction in report. In reality, it failed for a different reason. Every shot cycled the action. Metal slammed into metal. Springs compressed and snapped back. The bolt's movement echoed in enclosed spaces. Even when muzzle blasts fell below 90 decibels, the weapon betrayed itself. Fire the Sten on automatic and suppressor baffles failed within magazines. The enemy might not hear the shot, but they heard the gun. Stealth was defeated by mechanics. American designers approached the problem cautiously. Weapons like the high-standard HDM pistol impressed observers, even President Roosevelt himself. William Donovan famously fired one in the Oval Office without Roosevelt hearing the shots. But these weapons fired .22 long rifle, quiet, accurate at short distances, but unreliable. Effective range hovered around 50 feet. Immediate incapacitation was not guaranteed. Against an alert sentry or a determined enemy soldier, .2 to L lacked authority. Special operations could not afford hesitation. Quiet was meaningless if the enemy remained standing. Germany faced the same challenge and failed for a simple reason. They tested suppressed MP-40s and suppressed Carabiner 98 rifles. Entire experimental programs at Kummersdorf in 1943 explored every configuration engineers could imagine. None succeeded. German service cartridges were supersonic, 9mm parabellum and 7.92 x 5.7 yump, Mauser. A bullet traveling faster than sound creates a ballistic crack that no suppressor can eliminate. Physics does not negotiate. Germany never standardized a subsonic combat cartridge. Their suppressors reduced muzzle blast, but could never achieve silence. Their work stalled in laboratories. Britain, unknowingly, already had the answer. Lend-Lease shipments flooded Britain with American weapons. Thompson's submachine guns, MEJOEE pistols. Both fired .45 ACP, heavy, slow, and crucially subsonic by design. A 230-grain bullet traveling at roughly 830 feet per second produces no sonic crack. No special ammunition was required. Standard military ball worked perfectly. The solution already existed. What was missing was someone capable of seeing it. William Godfrey de Lisle was born in South Africa in 1905 by the age of 16. He was experimenting with suppressors built from cocoa tins, quietly hunting rabbits with a .22 rifle, not for war, but from curiosity. For more than 2 decades, he refined the idea privately. When the war came, de Lisle joined the Ministry of Aircraft Production. His talent went unnoticed until necessity intervened. Food rationing forced innovation. De Lisle built a suppressed .2 to pistol to quietly poach rabbits on the Berkshire Downs. Technically illegal. Practically unavoidable. That weapon was seen by Major Sir Malcolm Campbell, world speed record holder and officer attached to combined operations under Lord Louis Mountbatten. Campbell understood instantly. This was not a poacher's tool. It was an assassination weapon. Demonstrations followed. From the roof of London's New Adelphi building, de Lisle fired into the River Thames. Pedestrians below showed no reaction. Another test at Wilkes Gunmakers near Piccadilly involved firing across a busy street into a chimney. Again, no one noticed. The ministry released de Lisle for full-time development. Early attempts using 9mm failed immediately. The supersonic crack doomed them. Then .45 ACP was tested. Everything changed. De Lisle selected the Lee Enfield Mark III action. Manually operated, proven, reliable. No cycling noise unless the shooter chose to make it. The suppressor was integral, not an attachment, 16 inches long, and permanently built into the weapon. The barrel was cut from Thompson's submachine gun barrels, leaving just over 7 inches of rifling. Vent holes bled propellant gases into the suppressor before the bullet exited, collapsing pressure before sound could form. Inside, spiral duralumin baffles slowed and cooled gases progressively. Felt, rubber, and asbestos packing absorbed what remained. Period testing measured the result at approximately 85.5 decibels, quieter than conversation, while retaining rifle level accuracy out to 200 yards. By late 1943, prototypes entered combat. On the occupied French coast, sentries died without alarms being raised. In Burma, snipers positioned themselves along roads behind Japanese lines. As trucks passed, 1 soldier per lorry collapsed. The vehicles stopped, but no one believed shots had been fired. OSS Captain Mitchell Werbel later described the weapon as superior to anything issued by American forces. JEDBRO teams carried it in Europe. Malayan emergency forces relied on it deep into the 1950s. Major D.A. Mack of the Royal Scots. Fusiliers later wrote that there was no bang whatsoever. It's just the click of the firing pin and the thump of the bullet. Despite its success, the de Lisle was never intended for mass issue. Production was slow and deliberate. Ford's Dagenham factory produced a small number of handmade prototypes in its tool room. Final fitting was sometimes done inside air raid shelters beneath the factory. Skilled craftsmen from Holland and Holland assisted directly. Sterling Engineering later received a contract for 500 carbines, including airborne variants with folding stocks. The war ended before the contract could be fulfilled. Only 106 were completed. Including prototypes, total production is estimated between 130 and 150 weapons, making the Lisle one of the rarest military firearms of the Second World War. Unlike many wartime expedients, the Lisle did not disappear with peace. It saw use during the Korean War and became particularly valuable during the Malayan Emergency. Jungle warfare rewarded silence. In that environment, the Lisle was devastating. General Sir Gerald Templar was photographed test-firing one in 1952. Some carbines were refurbished at Enfield specifically for jungle operations. In dense vegetation, even the faint click and thump vanished entirely. Men died without alarm. Patrols withdrew, undetected. What made the Lisle exceptional was not only its technical performance, but its psychological effect. Enemy soldiers relied on sound. Sound meant direction. Direction meant survival. The Lisle removed that feedback loop. Men fell with no muzzle flash, no report, no visible enemy. Fear spread faster than bullets. Silence itself became the weapon. After the war, suppressor technology advanced, yet no true replacement for the Lisle ever appeared. The reason was simple. The Lisle was not a suppressed weapon added to an existing system. It was a weapon designed around suppression from the beginning. Bolt action eliminated mechanical noise. A massive integral suppressor provided unmatched gas expansion. Subsonic. 45 ACP delivered stopping power without sonic crack. Modern designs still compromise. The DL.